song was written by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. A beautiful ashtakam describing the features of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. So this ashtakam you can sing, and it will put the form and the features of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in your mind. There's something special about this. Yeah, we do have it. Okay, let's go back to the translation of the other one. I used to sing this song, and then somebody gave me a recording. In Vrindavan, in front of the Radha Damodar Mandir, they used to have this, during Kartik, they would sell cassette tapes. You've probably never even heard of them before, but there used to be things called tape recorders. And they had these little cassettes. And so there was a crew out there, and they would sell these cassette tapes, and somehow going through them I found this ashtakam, somebody singing it. And it was just so charming to me. I listened to it over and over and over again. Some Brijabasis or somebody singing this. And just it struck me, first of all, that to find the ashtakam in Vrindavan, because it reminded me the way in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was distributing Vrindavan to everyone through his disciples. And the deeper you go into Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes and personality, the more you find Vrindavan. The more you go deep, the more deeply you go into Vrindavan, the more you find Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is how it works. So finding this there and listening to it in Vrindavan, I found to be very satisfying. So this is a very sweet prayer. Also remembering that it comes from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is a Pakka Mayavadi. And he, after he met this young boy, 24-year-old sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he totally changed. And this is a big victory for the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's the biggest victory in anyone's life, that somehow or other he or she comes in contact with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or one of his devotees, and then makes a decision that I changed my mind. I'm not going to go for that other stuff. I'm going to go for serving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's a monumental, to say the least, decision that someone can make. So these songs and prayers by others who have made that decision can actually change our own hearts. We'll see that just by hearing them, we get infused with, these bhajans are infused with their mood, and it can enter into us also. His super excellent spiritual body is a brilliant golden color. He is incessantly churned by sublime transcendental ecstasies. A fraction of his mercy is able to deliver all the three worlds. And to that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. A verse, please, from a fraction of mercy of Krishna. 10th chapter, yes, you're almost there. 10th canto, 14th chapter. Everyone should know this verse. Atapite deva padam bhujatvaya prasada leshana grihita evahi janati tatvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko picharam vachinvan. You got it? Atapite deva padam bhujatvaya. No, I got it. You look. Get the mic. Translation.
My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years.
Atapite Deva, verse number?
10, 14, 29.
10, 14, 29. 2, within himself. Okay, let's look at it. 10, 14, 29. This verse is quoted, I should say, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse frequently. It's a very important verse. I'll say, please repeat. Atapite deva padambuja dvaya prasada leshanugrahita evahi Janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno. Nachanya eko picharam bachinvan. Translation. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So back to the bhajan, and you'll see Tribhuvana Pavana Kripaya Lesham, same word as there, Lesha, Atapite Deva Padambujaya, Dvaya Prashada Lesha. Lesha means just a little bit. Tiny, it's like if you were in forensic science and you're trying to, all you need is a trace. One piece of DNA is on the cloth, then you can prove it's tiny, but it's there, and once it's there, it's all over. Case closed. So same thing. If one fraction piece of DNA catches onto you from this bhakti process, then your material life will be finished, either today or tomorrow, but it's a fact. So he says, Tribhuvana Pavana Kripaya, a fraction of his mercy is able to deliver all the three worlds under that sun of Sri Sacidevi I bow. So those who know this about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they give their full attention to him because they understand, as Karabhajana Muni says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that his lotus feet, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, are the sum total of all the holy places. Every holy place is contained within the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if you bow down there and you dedicate your activities to him, then all is well. 2, within himself there are transformations of ecstasies, such as faltering of the voice. The mighty sound of his voice chastises wicked men. His mercy dispels all fears caused by worldly existence. Unto that, son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. Quintessential Sanskrit verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam that expresses how transformations take place within the body of someone who chants Hare Krishna or don't. You can give either verse. There's one in the second canto that says one who's chanting and he or she doesn't experience transformations is steel-hearted, or you can give a verse from the Bhagavatam that says that by chanting Hare Krishna, one experiences transformations within the body. Shraddha Devi has it in the front row. Here's your mic.
This is from 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse
Yes.
40. Evam vrata swa priya nam kirtya jatanurago ditchutta ucche hasati ati rodati roti gayati unmadhavan nrityati lokabhaya.
Number of the verse again?
I think it's 40 to 11 to 40.
40.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say, please repeat. Evam vritasva priyanama kirtya Jachanurago drutachitta uchai Pasatyato rodati rauti gayati Unmadavan nrityati lokabhayaha. Translation is, by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly or cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. Now give the other verse that says, if you're chanting Hare Krishna and this doesn't happen to you, then you're a nonsense. The other verse? Second canto. Steel framed. 2, 3, 24. Brace yourselves. I'll say, please repeat. Tadashmasaram hridayam batedam Yad grihamana harinamadhyayai Navikriyet tata yada vikaro Netre jalam gatra ruhesha harsha. Translation is certainly that heart is steel-framed, which in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place, tears fill the eyes, and the hairs stand on end. The meaning of this verse is that if you're chanting, it's a little convoluted, the translation. Actually, it's a little convoluted. But the fact is that the verse means that if you're chanting and you're not experiencing changes in your life and in your heart, then you're making offenses somehow. So you got to be careful. Otherwise, you can chant and chant and chant, and your heart will remain the same. So you have to chant and avoid the offenses. Back to the bhajan. Number 3. He wears garments the color of the rising sun. His cheeks are very captivating. His fingernails surpass the beauty and radiance of the moon. He takes delight in uttering the glories of his own transcendental qualities and holy name. Unto that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. Streams of ecstatic tears flow from his lotus eyes. He is ornamented with transformations of ecstasy caused by ever new loving mellows. His pastimes of dancing exhibit very slow and graceful movements. Unto that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. So we see at the Rath Yatra, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing, he's taken the role of Srimati Radharani and Lord Jagannath on his cart, going to the Gudicha temple, going back to Vrindavan, is Krishna. And they're having this relationship. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during the parade, the procession of the Lord going back to Vrindavan, is dancing in ecstasy, and tears are shooting from his eyes, like as if from a syringe. This ecstasy is flowing within him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who comes as his own devotee, imbued with the sentiment and also the radiance of Srimati Radharani. And it's an esoteric point that's made in the beginning of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that is that Krishna notices that Srimati Radharani enjoys more than he does in the relationship, because he's the object of love and she's the one who's appreciating that object of love. So who enjoys more, the object of love or the one who's appreciating the object of love? One who's appreciating. So Krishna, being the supreme enjoyer, now has a conundrum, because he says, how can I be the supreme enjoyer if someone's enjoying more than I am? Now to taste his own sweetness, actually to taste the sweetness of Srimati Radharani's love and the magnanimity, the huge love that she has. I don't like that. But give me the verse from the Mangalacharna, Chaitanya Charitamrita, please. Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanayaiva swadyo yena bhuta madhurima kidrisho. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, verse number 6 or 7? 5. 6. Okay, this is a secret verse. Don't tell anybody. If you can't keep a secret, then go out of the room till we finish this. Okay? Say yes. Yes. You can't tell anybody. Work with me, people. It's only half an hour. Okay, here we go. Please repeat. Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanayaiva. Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanayaiva. Swadyo yena bhuta madhurima kidrisho va madiya. Saukyam shasya mad anubhavata kidrasham veti lobhad. Tadbhava dhyasamajani shachi garbha sindau harindu. Translation. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sacidevi as the moon appeared from the ocean. So this is the secret of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. He's Krishna, but he's come to actually enjoy the position of Srimati Radha and to understand the glory of her love. And this, you'll go back to the bhajan, is why we see streams of ecstatic tears flowing from his eyes, transformations in ecstasy. This all takes place in the body of Srimati Radharani. You'll find throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam how she has various symptoms of what is called Mahabhava. It's the highest level of love of God. No one can imitate that, but she is the emblem of the topmost level of devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he's come imbued with that love, and he plays the part of his own devotee simply to experience that love that Srimati Radharani has. And it's all explained in the verse that we just read. So everyone should memorize that verse. Shri Radhaya. Okay, number 5. The nimble movements of his beautiful dancing feet are very pleasing. Those 2 feet are sweetened by tinkling ankle bells. His soothing face surpasses the cooling rays of the moon. Unto that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. He sometimes wears a loincloth of a mendicant and takes up the staff and water pot of a sannyasi monk. His transcendental body is then graced by a shaven head. His chastisement breaks apart and destroys the sins of wicked souls. Unto that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. This is an important point about chastisement. Actually, to receive the chastisement of a great soul, what to speak of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the greatest benediction. And you'll find throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam that every great achievement of a devotee within the Bhagavatam, or any new episode which brings us to a higher level of understanding Krishna consciousness, is always preceded by a curse or chastisement. So actually, I'm intoxicated with the material energy, and I think that I'll just stay here. Someone may wake me up, then I'll just go back to sleep, push the snooze button again and again, until there's a strong enough chastisement by Krishna's arrangement. Not until that time do I actually seriously take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. So one can take the chastisements of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the greatest mercy. Also, it's a sign of intimacy. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Jagadananda in front of Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana complained. He said, "You're giving deference to Jagadananda. You show him more affection than to me, because you feel free to chastise him. Whereas me, you treat with reverence." Advaita Acharya also didn't like that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nimai Pandit treated him as a superior. He treated him like a spiritual master. And Advaita Acharya actually engineered a situation so that Nimai Pandit would chastise him. And he did severely chastise him. He spoke Mayavad philosophy from his nightly Bhagavad Gita class. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came out, he came and he pounded him. And then Advaita Acharya smiled and he said, "Just see, now everyone knows who my superior is." So the devotees appreciate the chastisement. If you can take the chastisement as the reward of the master, then you can learn the lesson that caused you to make the mistake in the first place, or that helps you to overcome any of the mistakes. Punishment as a reward. Look that up, please. Look up that phrase, punishment as the reward. Or just, if the messes up the search, then just put punishment and reward. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's see which device is faster. 4. Couldn't hear you. 4:26:21. Srimad Bhagavatam. Punishment, reward, master. Put those three. What's the verse? 4:26:21. Here you go. You're in for a treat. If you've ever felt hesitant to take a chastisement, raise your hand. If you love chastisement, you want people to criticize you, raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2. Only 2 of you. Okay, let's look at the verse and purport. You're sure this is it, right?
The last
4:26:21. It's in Prabhupada's purport.
the last line of this purport.
Okay. Let's read the verse and purport. Is it a long one?
No.
Okay. Translation, please. King Puranjana said, my dear beautiful wife, when a master accepts a servant as his own man, but does not punish him for his offenses, the servant must be considered unfortunate. It's in there, right? Yes. Okay, purport. According to Vedic civilization, domestic animals and servants are treated exactly like one's own children. Animals and children are sometimes punished not out of vengeance, but out of love. Similarly, a master sometimes punishes his servant not out of vengeance, but out of love, to correct him and bring him to the right point. Thus King Puranjana took his punishment dealt by his wife, the queen, as mercy upon him. He considered himself the most obedient servant of the queen. She was angry at him for his sinful activities, namely hunting in the forest and leaving her at home. King Puranjana accepted the punishment as actual love and affection from his wife. In the same way, when a person is punished by the laws of nature, by the will of God, he should not be disturbed. A real devotee thinks in this way. When a devotee is put into an awkward position, he takes it as the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Ready? Tate anukampam susamikshamano unjana eva makritam vipakam rigvagvapurvi vidadam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. This verse states that the devotee accepts a reversal of his position in life as a benediction of the Lord and consequently offers the Lord more obeisances and prayers, thinking that the punishment is due to his past misdeeds and that the Lord is punishing him very mildly. The punishment awarded by the state or by God for one's own faults is actually for one's benefit. In the Manu Samhita, it is said that the king should be considered merciful when he condemns a murderer to death, because a murderer punished in this life becomes freed from his sinful activity, and in the next life takes birth cleared of all sins. If one accepts punishment as a reward dealt by the master, he becomes intelligent enough not to commit the same mistake again. We'll read it all together, starting with if one. If one accepts punishment as a reward dealt by the master, he becomes intelligent not to commit the same mistake again. That's worth codifying and keeping in one's pocket. Back to the bhajan. He sometimes wears a loincloth of a mendicant. Did I read that? Chastisement. As a householder, his face is surrounded by locks of dark hair, decorated with the dust of the earth. His excellent lips, which are red like, that needs a fix there, Shamalangi. It says red line. The bimba fruit are beautified by their trembling and ecstasy. Upon his forehead he wears brilliant tilak made of sandalwood paste. Unto that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. The glowing beauty of his lotus petal eyes exceeds that of the rising sun. His two beautiful arms extend down to his knees. His divine body is dressed in the fashion of an adolescent dramatic dancer. Unto that son of Sri Sacidevi I bow. Ajanulambita bhujo kanakavatato sankirtanai kipitaro kamalaya taksho Vishvambaro dvijabaro yugadharma palo vandejaga priyakaro karunavataro. Where's that verse from?
Srimad Chaitanya Bhagavat.
That's right. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, verse number? First verse. So this is, as we know, the Mangalacharna from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Do we not? We know it all? Then we also can look into the Mangalacharna for the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Let's look at it. Search for it, you'll find it. Search and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you. Chop, chop. Ajanalambita bhajo kanakavata. We have the Chaitanya Bhagavat on the Veda base, so it should be there. Ajanalambita bhajo kanakavatato. Ajanalambita bhajo kanakavatato samkirtanaika pitaro kamalaya taksho. If you could all search for it on the Veda base, it would be a great boon for humanity. We have to have that verse. Now, the verse is parallel to the last verse of this Ashtakam, the Sri Sacitanaya Ashtakam. You'll see. What's going on in there? Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ajanulambita bhujo kanakavadato. We should be in great anxiety right now. We can't find the verse. Imagine that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was looking for a copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita and he couldn't find it anywhere. Nowadays we can get anything, but we don't even look for it. This is interesting. You got it? We have a positive contact reported here from the. Okay, it's also in the Veda base, but wherever we can find it, let's go ahead and read.
I offer my respectful obeisances to the two fathers of the Sankirtan movement, whose long arms reach to their knees, who are splendid like gold, whose large eyes are lotus flowers, who are the maintainers of the world, the best of the brahmanas, and the protectors of the Yuga Dharma, the religion of the age, who bring happiness to the people of the world, and who have come to this place because they are very merciful.
Exactly. Now, why can't you find it in the Veda base? Okay, we'll find it on the CD version. Don't you have it on your hard drive? You have it here? You have Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's purport? Correct. Okay, Shamalangi, you need to put this on our list of verses that we recite every day. We could do this one every day. Can you expand the size of that, please? Is it possible? Just copy it and put it somewhere. Oh my goodness, it says it's by Rupa Goswami. I don't see, unless Vrindavan Das Thakur included his verse. Okay.
Here.
Hare Krishna. This is a serious operation. But it's worthwhile. I mean, the trouble it takes to go on pilgrimage. For instance, if you want to go to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Jagannath, you got to buy a ticket. You got to sit in airports. They'll cancel your flight. You get there, it's nothing works. But everything that you put into it is purifying. So similarly, when you're looking for these verses, all the trouble that you take is highly purifying. Okay. We're getting there. At least we can chant it together. I'll say, please repeat. Ajanulambita. Just listen and then repeat. Ajanulambita bujao kanakavadatao. Samkirtanai kapitarao kamalaya taksho. Vishvambarao Dvijavarao Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakarao Karunavataro. There you see right there, CB stands for Chaitanya Bhagavat. Who wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat? Vrindavan Das Thakur, and this is the Adikanda 1:1. So this is the opening verse of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And here's what it says. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, whose arms extend down to their knees, who have golden yellow complexions, and who inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower. They are the maintainers of the living entities, the best of the brahmanas, the protectors of religious principles for this age, the benefactors of the universe, and the most merciful of all incarnations. This is a beautiful verse. It's one that you can keep, and we'll keep it in our repertoire. Okay. And there's a long purport, which we won't go into right now, but there's commentary by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explaining this Mangalacharna verse and how it relates to the entire book, the Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's very deep meanings to each one of these statements about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he explicates there. Did we finish the bhajan? So that's the Sri Sacidevi Ashtakam. And who was it written by? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So this has great historical significance, devotional significance, and it's a beautiful bhajan or ashtakam. And when it gets in your mind and heart, then it'll uplift you. It'll bring you into the holy dham, even as you're walking around Silicon Valley. And now here's our next ashtakam for this morning. Pardon me? Nityananda Ashtakam. This one's said to be by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And you'll see the last line at the bottom, starting with Bhaje. It goes like this. Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi. Everyone. Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi. But twice as slow because it's a hard one to follow, the whole thing. So let's say, Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi. From the top, all together. Sharach Chandra Brantim Spuraramalakantim Gajagatim Hari Premon Matam Trita Paramasattvam Smitam Kam Sada Gurnan Netram Karakalita Vetram Kalibidham Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi. 2. Rasanam Agaram Swajana Gana Sarvasvamatulam Tadiyaika Prana Pratima Vasuda Janavapatim Sada Premon Madam Paramaviditam Mandamanasam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi. You need to put a little more into the last line though. Sachi Suno Preshtam Nikila Jagadishtam Sukhamayam Kalamajaj Jivo Dharana Karano Dhammakarunam Harir Akyanadva Bhava Jaladi Garvo Natiharam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Nirvadidhi Aye Bratandrinam Kalikulushinam Kinubhavita Tata Prayashchitam Rachaya Yadanaya Sata Ime Prajanti Tvam Itam Saha Bhagavata Mantrayatiyo Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi Yasheshtam Vre Brata Koru Hari Hari Dvananamnisham Tato Vasam Saram Buddhitarana Dayo Mahilaget Idam Bahuspotar Atatiratayanya Pratigraham Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi Balat Samsarambo Nidhiharana Kumbod Bhavamaho Satam Shreya Sindhu Nati Kumuda Bandhum Samuditam Kala Shreni Spurjat Timirahara Surya Prabhamaham Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi Natantam Gayantam Harim Anuvadantam Patipati Brajantam Pashyantam Swamapi Nadayantam Janaganam Prakurvantam Santam Sakarunadrigantam Prakalanan Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi Subibranam Bratu Karasarasijam Komatalaram Mito Vaktra Lokach Chalita Paramananda Hridayam Brahmantam Madhuryar Ahaha Madayantam Buddhajanan Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi Rasanam Adaram Rasika Varasad Vaishnavadanam Rasagaram Saram Patita Tatitaram Smananata Param Nityanandash Takamidamapurvam Patatiyas Tadangiri Dvandvam Chanpuratanitam Tasya Hridaye. Last line again. Tadangiri Dvandvam. Do you all have it? You say it.
Tadangiri dvanvabjam Spuratu nitaram tasya hridaye.
Tadangiri dvanvabjam Spuratu nitaram tasya hridaye. Try it again.
Tadangiri dvanvabjam Spuratu nitaram
Dvanvabjam. Tadangiri tvam vajam spuratu niratam tasya hridaya. There you have it. Bhaje nityanandam bhajana tarukandam diravad he. Translation. But fasten your seatbelts. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, whose bright face mocks the full autumn moon, whose pure complexion glistens, whose gait is like that of a maddened elephant, who is always intoxicated in Krishna prema, who embodies pure spiritual energy, whose face holds a gentle smile, whose eyes are always rolling due to his absorption in Krishna prema, whose lotus hand holds a glowing staff, and who by the performance of Nam Sankirtan pierces the influence of Kali Yuga. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the mainstay of all the rasas, who is everything to his devotees, who is beyond compare, who is the master of both Vasudha and Janava Devi, who consider him more dear than their own lives, who is always maddened in Krishna prema, and who is unknown only to those of meager intelligence. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is very dear to Sri Sacinandan, who is worshipped by the entire universe, who is the embodiment of happiness, who possesses infinite mercy for delivering the souls who are drowning in the age of Kali, and who, by the performance of Sri Harinam Sankirtan, thwarts the progressing false pride of the ocean of repeated birth and death. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who said to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, "Hey, brother Gauranga, what will be the destination of the sinful souls of Kali Yuga, and how will they be redeemed? Please devise a method by which they will easily attain you." I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who wandered around Bengal and approaching the door of each and every home, raised his arms up high and exclaimed, "Oh brothers, all of you should eternally perform Sri Harinam Sankirtan together. By doing so, I will take the responsibility to deliver you all from the ocean of material existence." I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the Agastya Muni who forcibly swallows the ocean of repeated birth and death, who is a rising full moon which increases the ocean of the saintly person's welfare, and who is a sun which dissipates the darkness of ignorance cast by the various classes of miscreants. I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who wandered on every path in Bengal, dancing, singing, and calling out, "Haribo! Haribo!" and who lovingly bestowed merciful sidelong glances upon those who were not compassionate to even their own selves. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who held the supremely soft lotus hand of his brother Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, whose heart became filled with the highest bliss when the two brothers gazed into each other's faces, and who wandered here and there, delighting the townspeople with his sweetness. May Sri Nityananda Prabhu place his lotus feet in the heart of one who lovingly recites this unprecedented Nityananda Ashtaka, which is the reservoir of rasa, greatest treasure of the most exalted Rasika Vaishnavas, and is a storehouse of the essence of Bhakti Rasa. Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravadhi Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So now we're going to have a short session, about 25 minutes of questions and answers. And any question, any that you have, and to help you remember what your questions are, you just take 2 or 3 minutes to discuss with somebody nearby you any questions that you may have. just about the philosophy in general, and then we'll have a discussion dispatching of those questions and giving the answers. Okay? Yes. On your mark, get set, go. Get with somebody and ask a question, and the person that's telling you what their question is, you write it down or remember it so that you can ask it on behalf of the person who tells you what their question is. You understand? Okay, go for it. Nityanandam Bhajana Sadhukandam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajana Tarukandam Niravad He Gaur Premanande Haribo. Now, we'll see the quality of your questions. It's very important to deepen our questions, because the more we develop questions, in fact, it's very difficult to have questions unless one's studying the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and also trying to make advancement. The reason to ask questions is to clear any doubts that one has that hold one back from practicing Krishna consciousness. The reason that one doesn't move forward in any endeavor is because one might have doubts about it. Therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says, Siddhanta bola chitta na kara alash, iha hoite Krishna lagi sudrid manash. Sudrid manash means the mind becomes sudrid, or totally fixed, when one has discussed the philosophy of Krishna consciousness fully and has come to Siddhanta. Siddhanta means to understand what something is and what it isn't. You'll notice, for instance, in the Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva gives a point, and then he'll give a point just after that called the Purva Paksha to refute his own point. In other words, he'll make a strong point, and then he'll say, but somebody could say, challenge this point and say this. And then he defeats that challenge. So this is like sharpening an axe. An axe has a sharp point because you hit it from both sides. And as you hit it from both sides, you don't just say the positive side, say the negative side, and you try to come to a sharp point. So this is called Siddhanta, Bolya Chitta. He says, Na kara alash, don't be lazy about doing this. Challenge yourself, ask good questions, and try to find the answers deeply. And when you do, then he says your mind will become fixed in the devotional service. Otherwise, if you have some doubt, and doubts, Srila Prabhupada writes in his purports to the Bhagavad Gita, are like demons. They hold you back from the process of devotional service. Are you ready? Let's see what kind of questions and answers we can generate here. Okay, you're the first one. Ajana Limbita.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that like behind every action there are like 5 reasons. Like, so if I'm like procrastinating, and one of the reasons is Krishna himself. So if I'm procrastinating on something beyond belief, is it
beyond what?
Beyond belief, like I'm procrastinating.
Beyond belief.
Yeah, like way too much.
Oh.
Is it because like is it like there is actually like Krishna who's making me procrastinate, or am I using it as an excuse?
You're using it as an excuse. Because our part, we have impetus to move, but you'll notice that Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita that our impetus to move becomes affected by 3 modes of material nature. So of course there's 3 modes of material nature that have distinctive effects upon us. And then there's combinations and permutations of the mixtures of those modes. And Krishna enumerates those effects so that we can understand how we're being affected by the modes. And one of the ways that we get affected is our own impetus to do something. Therefore, he describes how if you're procrastinating, it means that you're in the mode of ignorance. You're being affected by that mode that holds you back. And if you've ever wondered why it is that you know you should do something, but then you just don't do it, even at the risk of losing your job, your life, your reputation, and you just can't do it. This is an effect of the mode of ignorance. But the impetus is ours. And Vyasadeva points this out in the Vedanta Sutra. He says that actually the Shastra is telling us to rise. And if it's telling us to rise, then we have the possibility of rising. We can't claim to be permanently unqualified or that it's Krishna's fault. He says, understand that you're an agent for change. So what to do? the science that Krishna puts forth in the Bhagavad Gita teaches us that we can readjust our environment, we can adjust what we listen to. Even if by degrees we do that, then we can gradually rise above the lower modes of material nature and come to a higher mode of nature through practice. And when we do that, Partiva dharano dumas tasmad agnis trayimayaha tamasastu rajas tasmat sattvam yad brahmadarshanam. The Bhagavatam first canto, one of the 34 verses in the Divinity Divine Service, which is so important to know, says that the mode of ignorance is like the raw wood. The mode of passion is like smoke. And the mode of goodness is like fire. Fire is very useful for many different things, but especially for performing Vedic sacrifice. And sattvam yad brahmadarshanam. From sattva, we can actually have knowledge, and we can have darshan of the difference between matter and spirit. From there, impetus becomes purified, and we can do the right thing at the right time because of that. So it means a cultivation on our part. Thank you. Good question. Very good. We rate that a 5 on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay. Yes, there are more back here. Pass the mic.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Maharaj, we see in all our shastras it said, I think in 552, for example, Mahad Sevam Dwaram Ahar Vimuktes, just by serving the pure devotees, one gets affinity for doing devotional service. And on the other hand, if one goes too close to a pure devotee, for example, and if by chance one happens to commit an offense, then even though the devotee forgives, the dust of the lotus feet will not forgive such an offense. So it's like a catch-22 situation. We are just discussing that what to do in such a situation, that we have to do some service to pure devotees, but at the same time we don't want to commit any offense, even if it is unknowingly.
This is a really good question. It's very important because the way in which we associate with devotees will determine how we advance in devotional service. As an example of this, in the Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami says, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranatibisha bhajantamisham shushushaya bhajana vignya mananyamanya nindadi shunya hridamipsata sangalabhya. He lists 3 categories of devotees. One is the beginner, or someone who just says Hare Krishna. For that person, we should show respect within the mind. Then the next one is someone who's taken a vow and has accepted diksha, initiation into the chanting of the holy name. We should offer physical obeisances. And then the person who has been chanting for a long time and has become very advanced in devotional service, we should serve, give our life to, listen to, and so forth. So this indicates there's an etiquette, there's a protocol, ways of associating with different kinds of devotees. We should do so carefully. The example given in the Shastra frequently is that association with advanced devotees is like a fire. So fire is very useful, but if you get too close, you'll get burned. However, if you get too far away, you won't be able to take advantage of the heat. So that requires a little finesse. Look up the word finesse, please. It means that you associate, but remain aware of the fact that you're associating with somebody who is not to be taken for granted. At the same time, Rupa Goswami says there should be some sense, for instance, in a guru-disciple relationship, there should be some sense of friendship, vishramba. Vishramba means there's a friendly relationship, it's friendly. But at the same time, there's also a sense of Aishwarya that, oh, this person is a representative of Krishna through the parampara. So both things have to be there. That's finesse means there's some kind of balance. What does it mean, Shraddha?
Intricate and refined delicacy.
Intricate and refined delicacy is required, yes.
Artful subtlety.
Artful subtlety.
Subtlety.
That's
Typically,
nice.
typically that is needed for tactful handling of something.
Tactfully handling something.
And the origin is late Middle English in the sense of purity and delicacy.
Purity and delicacy is required.
And from French, it is related to fine.
Huh?
The word fine.
Fine. So the other thing to keep in mind is pure devotees like Srivas Pandit. He was willing, the associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, ours is also, but very quick to forgive. The devotees don't take offense so much. It requires some malice to really offend a devotee. Prabhupada generally never rejected anybody, unless they were really determined to be obnoxiously against Krishna consciousness. And some people did manage to pull that off. They somehow developed envy in their heart, and then they expressed it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, he cut them loose. You're on your own. And obviously it was an offense. But other incidental kinds of things that happen in the association of devotees are not taken very seriously if the intention is right. Even Krishna says, Api chat sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. Sadhureva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisa. If your heart's in the right place, it doesn't matter if you're still overcome by the worldliness that is very hard to shake off. So finesse is the key word. Don't get too close, but don't get too far away either. It requires some tactfulness, a subtlety. What was the subtlety? Delicate, subtle. Artful subtleties. I like that. That could be a name for a gift shop or something.
Refined delicacy.
Virtual gift shop. Okay. All right. Another question. Yes. Okay, 1, 2.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the morning japa session and this opportunity
to
ask questions.
Just thinking about it yesterday, what gave me the first jolt of ecstasy was as soon as I brought it up about having a japa circle, everybody wanted to participate, which is really a good sign. Everyone wanted to be here. And I got here at 6:03 or something like that, and you had already been here since 4 in the morning or something. Yeah. But it was very nice. Yes.
Yeah, I was struggling for attentive chanting, and today's session really helped a lot. Thank you for that. So my question is, I'm reading Jadabharat's pastime right now in Srimad Bhagavatam. So first he was Bharat Maharaj in the first life, and then he became a deer, and then he became Jadabharat in the third life. And he is very, very careful now. He's completely knowledge and everything. And when his father comes and trying to teach him Gayatri Mantra and all the other things, he knows that these are all fruitive activities. But my question is, being such an elevated person, why did he not try to tell his parents, okay, this is all temporary, whatever you're trying to do is temporary? And why he purposely was in a dull state, acted as if he's dull. But my question is, why did he not make an attempt to tell his parents?
Could you all understand the question and the context of it? Everyone here? You understood? Something? Jad Bharat, he had been a king named Bharat Maharaj, for whom India is named. And he had gone to the forest, given up his kingdom, his family, everything, and he was engaged in a very high level of worship. He got his bhajan going in a big way. But then he was distracted in a dramatic fashion because he got attached to a little deer. The mother had died. The deer was left right at his doorstep, basically, of his cave or wherever he was dwelling in the forest. He started taking care of it. And then all of his intention that had gone towards worshiping Krishna then went into taking care of this deer. Resultant vector is that in his next life he became a deer because yang vapi smaran bhavam tajatyante kalevaram tam evaite konteya saratad bhava bhavita. Whatever subject matter attracts the attention of the dying person will determine his or her next birth. So he took birth as a deer by Krishna's arrangement, because Krishna considers all these things. he remembered his last life, even in the body of a deer. This could be quite shocking. You go to sleep as a man, wake up as a deer, and you're aware of it. This is quite shocking. He made, as Prabhupada said, the best use of a bad bargain. He went back to the Palastya ashram, the place where he had done Ashtanga yoga before, and he practiced the best he could as a deer. He just went through the motions, lived with the sadhus there who were practicing, and he stayed somehow close and engaged. So his next life, he took birth as Jad Bharat. As Jad Bharat, he was fully enlightened soul. However, he was aware of what he had gone through. Now you ask the question, why is it that he didn't then speak out and speak to his parents and try to enlighten everybody right then? And it's a very similar circumstance where there are some correlations to Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami was within the womb of his mother for quite some time. He wouldn't come out. And the reason that he wouldn't come out is because he was aware of how subtle Maya is and how easy it is to get attached. And therefore, he wanted nothing to do with anyone or anything in the material world. That's how acutely aware he was of the power of Maya. Vyasadeva had to invite Krishna to come there to speak to Shukadeva in the womb and say, it's okay, I guarantee you won't become attached. You can come out. But even when he did come out, he took off running. How's the verse start? Yam pravajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayano viraha kartara ajuhava putreti tanmataya taravo binedus tam sarva bhuta hridaya munim anatosmi. It says poetically that Shukadeva Goswami came out of the womb and he took off running. And his father said, at least take the sacred thread. And he said, he didn't even turn around. He just took off. And his father is Vyasadeva. How many of you have a father who's Vyasadeva or like Vyasadeva? So he just took off. Because there's this sense that he had that you put your toe in and next thing you know, you're caught. He wanted nothing to do with it. And this is the mood of Jad Bharat in his situation also. He was, imagine like he had already been at the highest level. Tears were coming from his eyes as he was doing his worship. And somehow or other, just by a small distraction, he lost it all. Now he's fully aware of this when he comes into the body of Jad Bharat. So he says, no mas. No mas. I want nothing to do with this. Now, the Srimad Bhagavatam says in the 10th canto, in the descriptions of autumn, that waterfalls, sometimes they gush forth water. And at other times they hold back. You go there and say, where's the waterfall? It's gone. It doesn't come. Same way, says Shukadev. Sometimes sadhus, they're gushing. They have a campaign all over the world. Look at Prabhupada. He came 1965. He didn't stop traveling once until he left the world. Constantly speaking, even up to his last breath, the waterfall was flowing. And other times, sadhus, they don't say anything. Prabhupada kept to himself for many years, sitting in his room in Vrindavan. Timing is everything. So Jad Bharat, same thing. And when the time was right, when he met Maharaj Rahugana, that's when he started gushing philosophy to the benefit of everyone, because we have those chapters. What philosophy comes out when he starts speaking to Maharaj Rahugana? So it's the impetus of the sadhu to speak when he or she wants, or to hold back at any time, depending on the mood and situation. Anyway, we got both from him. Both he held back and he also spoke. Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji.
Hare Krishna.
My question is, when I listen to satsang and be in holy company, I hear that it is important to do meditation and go to satsang and listen to the ways we can improve our mind. But when I talk to it about this with my father says that his only philosophy is to help the needy and just give love to people. He's not very interested in meditation or coming to satsang. So I don't know what to tell him or whether he is right.
Well, you don't know what to tell him or whether he's right. So you're not sure what to do with the situation. Well, one thing I can tell you in general from my own personal observation is that fathers generally don't listen to their children. It's built into the relationship. Plus, it's a very extraordinary relationship. Sometimes we find devotees that start the process of Krishna consciousness and then they call their parents long distance and they say, Mom, Dad, start chanting 16 rounds, and then the next day come back, my parents are chanting 16 rounds. But there's a sense from parents that their children shouldn't condescend, they shouldn't try to teach me anything. Best thing, when you say you don't know what to do, I've seen, is when children take to the process, yes, you should take to the process of Krishna consciousness. This is the admonition of the Shastra. Tad vijnanartam sa gurum eva bigachet samit pani shotrim brahmanishtam. As soon as you have an idea that human life is meant for advancing spiritually, you should utilize it right away. Don't wait. Komara acharet pragno dharmam bhagavatamiha durlabam manasam janma tadapya dhruvam artadam. It's the opinion of Prahlad Maharaj that from the time you're Komara, you're just a little child. If you understand anything, that human life is meant for spiritual realization and you really don't get anywhere by advancing materially, there's nothing in it, then you should take to it as soon as possible. So you should take advantage. And the fact is that when the child takes advantage of Krishna consciousness and sets an example and shows the way by following parampara, following Bhagavad Gita, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, find out what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita is actual service, and then do that. Then the parents start to see the way through your example. And you don't have to say anything, you have to set a good example. And then they'll understand. So you have to clarify for yourself by reading Bhagavad Gita what real service is. What does Krishna say service is? You can serve the body by doing work like opening hospitals, feeding people, and so forth. I have a bird feeder in my backyard. My father gave it to me before he passed away, so I figured I'd put it up. I fill it up with bird seed. They eat the bird seed, and then it's empty. I have to fill it up again. Then I realized I go away for 35 days. It's empty. Do the birds starve? Do they starve? They didn't starve at all. They didn't even miss me. They're like, who are you? Get out of here. Because Krishna's already feeding everyone. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam yo vididhati kaman. The Vedas say that Krishna is the maintainer of everyone. And Jesus said, go out and look in a field and see how the birds are being taken care of. They don't need you. This idea that I'm going to take care of everybody, see if you can take care of yourself. That's more important to actually render service to Krishna by learning transcendental knowledge and practice and teaching it to others. Everybody knows that. Even Jesus said, you can feed a man a fish or you can teach him how to fish. That's more important. That is the second. So real service means to get yourself aligned with Krishna's message, especially through Bhagavad Gita as it is, coming through parampara. And second thing is, take to the practice yourself, because as Satyadev Prabhu told me when he took to paramedic school, the first thing they taught him was, a dead paramedic can't save anybody. That's the first job of a paramedic, because you're going to emergency situations all the time. He said, if you step on a electrical wire and get electrocuted, if you get shot because it's an active shooting situation, if you get cut and you get some infection and you die, then how are you going to save anybody? So they're teaching is, first save yourself. Same thing on the airline. They give this little thing, and the first time I saw it, it's like, that's weird. The parents put it on and then the kids? You might say, isn't that a little selfish? The parents put the oxygen mask on before their little kids? No, it's common sense. So same thing, save yourself, then save others. And who are we to save anybody? And this is mentioned that a person who doesn't have clear spiritual knowledge and they become an authority, they actually drag people into a blind well or into a pit where they all fall in. So blind leading the blind, there's lots of that. So the light and the real teaching comes from Krishna. And if you become a representative of Krishna by knowing what he says in the Bhagavad Gita, then you can really help others. And if you make an example in your own life of following Bhagavad Gita, then anybody else can follow you, including your family. Does that help? Oh, good. Okay. Yes, Hansapriya.
Hare Krishna, I have a follow-up question on the Bharat Maharaj.
Follow-up question on Bharat Maharaj.
So Bharat Maharaj was able to focus and he was able to say no mass and he was able
Jad Bharat.
Jad Bharat, yeah. And he was able to give the message to Raghuna Maharaj, to King Raghuna when he wanted to. So he had quite composed himself when he can talk and when he cannot talk. But there are times in my life, or most of the times, I feel like I can't even say no mass, and I can't even, say things that I can do it now or I can't do it later or don't do it. So I feel like, is it a time that I would not be hung up on all these things and will be able to get out and say things no mass and stay focused? So question is why we go through those yo-yos.
This is natural in any discipline, to go through a period in which we're challenged, because before you get good at something, you really have to be bad at it. We start off learning how to overcome various shortcomings that we have. And in the scheme of 100 years of devotional service, if we're lucky enough or unlucky to live that long, it's a short amount of time, and the time it takes to actually come to what Rupa Goswami describes as mastery of the senses may take a few decades. Also takes maturity, and it's not something you can hurry. Maturity, like I learned this in cooking. I used to think, well, maybe I could cook faster. And then I realized certain things take a certain amount of time in order to bake or cook. If you've heard the term half-baked. That's for a reason why people use it. Because if something's half-baked, it was a waste of time. So we have to take the time over a lifetime to come to maturity in our devotional service. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, in relation to chanting the holy name and advancing, that you'll see that different trees take various amounts of times or differing times in order to bear fruit. And how long does it take a tree to bear fruit? It takes, many days. It's got to go through the cycles. So in the same way, when we practice devotional service, there's various stages that are identified. So one of the stages is called Shraddha, when we have faith in the process. And this is something that's characterized in the beginning. One may have faith in the process, but then develop what's called Utsaha Mayi, which means kind of early enthusiasm to think that I got this. In fact, there's a syndrome we've noticed that was even named in our ISKCON society about the pure devotee syndrome, where sometimes people would join And then they'd say, okay, now I'm a pure devotee, so watch out. And then life comes into the mix, and we see that there's actually challenges that one has to overcome, both internally and externally. And even after one has made a vow, is engaged in bhajana kriya and said, I'm doing this is my life, I've understood it, then one comes to anartha nivritti, which means you have to clear the obstacles. There's 5 main obstacles that are characteristic of the stage of anartha nivritti, and those have to be overcome over time. You know what they are. There's sleep, distraction, I'm just not interested, even though I don't have any distraction and I'm not sleepy, I'm just not into it. And then there's innate qualities that I've picked up from my association since a time immemorial with material nature that just naturally come out at various times and distract me. And then there's the connection that my senses have to their objects in the material world, which is mentioned by Hamsa Avatar. He says the senses and the mind are embedded in their objects in the material world. So it kind of makes sense that we'd be connected in that way. But all those things are overcome by the regular practice of devotional service. And I might add, in the backdrop of our own lives, there are various periods of time that we go through. Different stages, things that happen to us at different ages. Practically every 10 years is a kind of an era in our life, marked by a certain kind of attitude. For instance, it's very natural for people in their 20s to think that they can do anything and get away with it, or to think that they're indestructible. I used to think that. That's how I broke my arm, wrestling, because I thought nobody can beat me, and then I got crushed. And then by the time I was in my 30s, I started thinking, look, well, maybe I'm not indestructible. I mean, every time period has a particular characteristic, and we have to actually go through all those. Vidyam chayas tad vedo bayam saha avidyayam ratum tirtva vidyayam ratum ashnute. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Means in the backdrop of our own lives, when we're going through many changes, facing challenges in our lives in various ways, internally, externally, but we go on with our devotional service, there's a kind of purification that takes place because of that. There's a concept called, or actually a device called a crucible. Can you look it up? From what I understand, a crucible is the place in which you purify gold. So gold, its pure state, it's 24 karat. It means there's no other alloys mixed in. But how do you get there? You have to put it under heat, high heat. What is a crucible?
It's a ceramic or metal container in which metals or other substances may be melted or subjected to very high temperatures. The origin is late Middle English from medieval Latin, crucibulum, which is night lamp, crucible, perhaps originally a lamp hanging in front of a crucifix, from Latin crux or cruc, which means a cross.
But it's actually a ceramic device that you can put in high heat and purify gold.
Metal, yeah.
And some encouragement. You're better than you think you are. That's one thing. Because we become sensitive to our own shortcomings, right? And they're kind of annoying. They can actually be discouraging because they keep coming up. But Krishna says, keep going. Don't worry. You'll overcome. Prabhupada writes in the light of the Bhagavat that our lifespan is kind of like chaturmasya. When you do your chaturmasya, right? You just eat once a day off the floor. Chaturmasya means havishan. You cook mung and rice together with no spices, no salt. And then when you eat, you can only eat once a day and off the floor with your hands behind your back. As much as you can eat off the floor with your hands behind your back, that's all you get for the day. And you spend the rest of the time just absorbed in chanting, studying, any other kind of austerity. You let your fingernails grow, hair grows out, your hair gets matted, no, special fluffing, anything. Chaturmasya. Can you tolerate for 4 months? Maybe. You can try it, see what happens. Some people used to say, because devotees would go into all these fanatical austerities, so there was a saying in ISKCON, chaturmas means chatur mess. So you mess up your service because it's really hard. But the fact is, Prabhupada mentions this, that there's a traditional period of time that students and brahmacharis, sannyasi, they perform these austerities for 4 months. They stay in one place, in one room, and just practice. Then he says, they wouldn't realize the full effect of their austerities until they leave the room. Once you walk out, then you go, oh, I get it. I did some austerities. People look at you differently, like, wow, what have you been doing? You've been doing austerities. They notice it, and you notice it too when you go out. So Prabhupada then says, our lifetime is a chaturmasya-like existence. This one little lifetime we have, we get, to practice devotional service, maybe we get 40, 50, 60 years. And during that time, that's your chaturmasya. When you leave the body, that's when you'll realize the full effects of what you've done, which is just a little thing. You just dedicated your whole life to spreading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. If Krishna says, swalpam apya siddharmasya, I accept even the tiniest little thing, what to speak of somebody who leaned in their whole life, they just dedicated everything to try to spread the Krishna conscious movement and to control their senses, chant Hare Krishna. It's unimaginable what kind of a reciprocation there is from Krishna at that point. So Krishna says, keep heart. I keep saying that, but it's in the verse I've quoted many times here. Jata shraddha makatasu nirvina sarvakarmasu veda dukat makankamams prityagi pyanishvara tato bhajeta mamprita shraddha lordrita nishchaya jushamanams tatankamams dukodarkams jagariyan. This describes how a person already knows that the material world's a waste of time, is disgusted with interaction with the material world, but still can't control the senses. Prityage pyanishvara means they don't have the full power yet to be fully sense-controlled. Tato bhajeta mamprita shraddha lordrita, Krishna says, have faith in the process and keep practicing. He said you can have a little garayan, a little bit of sense of remorse, but not too much, because then you might give up and say, like, I'm so downtrodden, I can't even do this. He said, don't do that. Keep going, and you'll be successful. And he says it in the Gita too, because he says, Api chet sutaracharo bhajate mamananya bhak sadureva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisa, which means that even if you're affected by bad qualities from being worldly minded, if you continue the process, or as you continue the process, you're considered to be a saintly person, Krishna says. Declare it boldly in the next verse. He says to Arjuna, Shripam bhavati dharmatma dharmatma sashvatshantam nigachati kaunteya pratijanihi nami bhaktya pranashiti. He says to Arjuna, say it really loud to everybody that my devotees never vanquished. If the person goes on, even though that they're affected by the material world, they can't quite control their senses, they'll be victorious for sure. No doubt about it. Something. Okay. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Who are you pointing to? You fight it out amongst yourselves. Oh, you have a question? Okay, yes. We'll take from the two sides. Here, give him a mic.
Hello. Sorry for my Sanskrit. I read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and I have one Vyaktama srina tevantar lakshyate rati lakshanam mumukshu prabhritinam chet bhavet eshara tirnahi. It's about that mukti. How it's in English, mukti?
Mukti, yes.
In
Liberation.
Huh?
Mukti means liberation.
Yeah, and rati. It's like sweet. No, it's like
Yeah, rati.
Yeah,
Okay.
mukti block rati. If you want mukti,
Yes.
you can't have rati in your heart.
Okay.
And
Hold the mic close.
and sometimes people, some guru or some sadhu from ISKCON now told about philosophy of rocket. If I want to come to Krishna, look like come to Krishna, and I burn everything in the back of me. Understand?
No.
Yeah. Sometimes when rocket came up,
Yeah.
all around in fire,
Oh.
all around dead. And
Yeah.
sometimes people who want come to God in any type of religion, everything around in fire. It's almost die. All life, all people around, all but from life of Chaitanya, we know that he lived family, he lived wife, but from this fire was born philosophy of Chintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. It was nothing like that in all world. It's like something new. And when Prabhupada lived, India lived God brothers, family, everything. From this fire was born ISKCON, all what we have now. And how we can understand, is it we are the rocket or it's real rati? Because sometimes rati can be really strong too. It's my question.
Thank you. What a nice question, how poetically put. First of all, what is our mukti anyway? And what kind, as you mentioned, of renunciation is important, because you mentioned the cases of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's mentioned in Shastra, for instance, 11th canto, Tyakva Sudusyaja Sarechita Raja Lakshmin Dharmishta Arya Vachasa Yadagadharanyam. His renunciation is noted by Karabhajana Muni when he says that everyone's after the goddess of fortune. That's why everyone's driving on the 101 freeway, because they're thinking, goddess of fortune, if I just work a little harder, she'll appear in my life. But then Mahaprabhu is going away from that. He had the goddess of fortune, his wife, but he said, see ya, I gotta go. Tyaktva, he gave it up. Gave up family life. He gave up being the hero of Navadvip. Tyaktva Sudusyaja Sarepshita Raja Lakshmin. Dharmishta used an excuse because a Brahmin apparently cursed him for not letting him into Srivasangam. The next day he saw at the Ganges, he saw Mahaprabhu and he said, no happiness in material life for you. And Mahaprabhu said, So then you mentioned Prabhupada's renunciation and how he had walked away from family life and had embarked on first the Vanaprastha, and then he took sannyas because his guru was calling him in dreams and saying, take sannyas. And Prabhupada talked to some of his godbrothers. Finally, one of them, Bhakti Pragnag Keshav Maharaj, said, you must do this right away. So Prabhupada took sannyas, and then he came to the West, and so forth. And the difference, first of all, between the idea of mukti and this kind of renunciation, walking away, is that the kind of renunciation of the devotees is going towards Krishna. For instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Narupa masye hatatopa labhyate nanto nacharir nacha sampratishta ashvatamenam suvarura mulam asanga shastrena dridhena chitta tat padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatak praviti prashrita parani. Two things going on in these verses. One is, First, Krishna says, cut down the deeply rooted tree of material existence, and then parimargitavyam. And then he says, take off running towards the origin of everything and reestablish your relationship with Krishna. Now, in regular mukti, the idea is that actually I'll just become detached from everything, and I'll have a nondescript existence, which means no more interaction with the material world and no actual definition of the spiritual world. I'm in a state of permanent detachment, which we claim as followers of the Bhagavatam is not possible, because ultimately everyone is a living entity with eternal impetus or desire, and that has to be engaged sooner or later. And if it's not engaged spiritually, then it'll be engaged materially. So the difference is those who realize the urgency of Krishna consciousness and they go towards Krishna, as a natural byproduct, they have to give up certain things that are unfavorable. Now in Prabhupada's case, he found that his wife was uncooperative. The ultimate sign of that was that she had given away his Bhagavatam, traded it in for some household items. And to Prabhupada, that was the ultimate sign from Krishna, because I don't think she understood, did his wife, how into Bhagavatam Prabhupada was. You gave away my Bhagavatam. That's everything to me. And he couldn't tolerate that, so he moved away and went on. You won't find, if you look at the details of Prabhupada's life, or of anybody's life who renounces, there are various stages. There's a way in which they find their way forward. It's not just rocket taking off and then everything's burnt, although you may hear that in the writing of Srinivasacharya. He says, Tyakva turnam ashesha mandalapati shrenim sada tuchavat. The six Goswamis, what did they do? Tuchavat. They just renounced everything and walked away. But it took a full year for Rupa Goswami to wrap things up with the government, with his family. Sanatana Goswami had to go to jail for a long time and then escape from jail as a political prisoner and make his way to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one thing after another. So the credo of the devotees is everything favorable for Krishna I accept, and everything unfavorable I give it up. And it's different for different people. Some people express it in different ways. Raghunath Das Goswami became a renunciate. He came from a billionaire family, so Mahaprabhu gave him special instructions to renounce in a certain way. There were other associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he was perfectly happy to see engaged with family and grihastha life. In fact, as Prabhupada mentions, most of Mahaprabhu's associates were grihasthas, and they expressed their renunciation in different ways, by accepting things favorable, rejecting things which are unfavorable. Nonetheless, the idea of the thrust of the rocket and the result, which is that the material world is left behind, is the mood in the heart of the devotee, no matter what situation he or she is in, is that I'm running towards Krishna, and whatever I have to do to get there is fine and necessary with me. That kind of determination is important. Otherwise, getting out of the gravity, the gravitational pull of the material world is very difficult. In fact, there's a formula for that. The bigger the body of the bigger the planet, the stronger the gravitational pull is. Did you know that? Yeah, it's called something. Any aerospace? Escape velocity. It's called the escape velocity. The bigger the planet, the more intense is the escape velocity. And so the bigger our ego is, the harder it is to escape. So really what we're trying to burn to a crisp is not everybody around us necessarily. It's just that they're a byproduct of our false ego. And if your intention is properly executed, if you're properly aligned, and then you do that, then ultimately people will become grateful. So when I took my parents' ashes to India, they died 1 year. My mother died 1 year after my father. She couldn't survive because if you're married that long, 70 years, and then your spouse dies, you can't survive. Normally, most people don't survive. Maybe not devotees, but she couldn't survive. I took both their ashes. Interesting, she was going to give me my father's ashes, but then after he died, she got attached to them. It's kind of interesting. And then, before she left, she said, take both of our ashes. And so I took them both to the Jamuna. And I met a devotee in Vrindavan. I was staying at the MVT, Samapriya. Her mother had just died. She spent the last 3 months with her mother, so we had a very deep, interesting conversation, comparing notes about realizations, parents leaving, mother leaving, all this kind of stuff. So she was telling about her life. She became a devotee when she was very young, and during the hippie movement. Anyway, she just left home and took up Krishna consciousness like many devotees did in the 60s and 70s. And some of her siblings really took exception to this because, she neglected her mother, did Samapriya, during that time. I did it. I didn't. When I left home, in fact, they said, you can go for the summer. And I basically never came back. I didn't even set foot at home for 8 years after that. I barely took calls until I got chastised by my temple president, said that's not spiritual. But in any case, what happened to Samapriya is that she, near the end, when her mother was dying, she had a few months left, she came back home and she spent that time with her mother. And as is often the case, others, siblings and relatives, they can't handle it. You'll notice this. You'll see the final scene in your parents' life, and the devotee will show up. Okay, I'm ready. I got Tulsi, I got this, I got the holy name. You ready to hear Bhagavatam now? And the rest of them are like, yeah, I'm a little busy right now. I can't. You do it. And that's what happened with Samapriya. And after her mother died, the siblings, especially one of her brothers who had renounced her, came back to her, and he said, now I understand. I was meant to take care of her during life, and I understood how to do that. But you were the only one qualified in our family to take care of her during death. He saw it. People see things at that time. And there's, part of the scorched earth policy. She left home, everyone became angry, there was definitely some burns there. But then later on, they saw that actually this is valuable. Because no one even thinks of death. They put it off. It's not a subject of conversation at Thanksgiving or something. Like, what do you want to talk about? Death! Everyone tries to avoid talking about it until it's right upon them. And then like, what do we do now? And it's like, well, she's been cultivating this for her whole life. So what was a scorched earth from the rocket taking off actually becomes soothing rain. And it takes care of people, from the devotees who have gone away and died to live. Because you have to die to actually live. You have to die to your false ego to actually experience real life without the encumbrances. And that's real liberation also, is to realize your real ego, which is I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. Does that help? I'm not convinced. Yeah? But anyway, everyone can feel free based on the teachings of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni says, Tyakva sadharmam chananam bhujam harer bhajana pakvo tapa tato yati. Even if you're not ready, if you want to go ahead and renounce the whole world and take off like a rocket, feel free. Feel free, because even if you come crashing down, didn't have enough fuel, he says no loss. At least you tried. And you'll never lose that that you actually jumped for it. You missed the bar, but you jumped for it. Navina Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, just two short anecdotes. In the ashram, we're just reading Vidura. He also took off like a rocket when he felt his presence wasn't appreciated. And after 21 years, he came back to benefit his older brother, Dhritarashtra. And so then everybody could see why he took off and appreciate it, even though he wasn't around for a long time. And just a small story. One devotee from Nigeria, his name is Bali Das Prabhu. His father was the finance minister of the Nigerian government, and he became very upset when his almost youngest son, I believe, became a Hare Krishna. So he cut him out of the will, he cut all ties with him. But when the old man was about to die, he had cancer, he was very irritable because he was a government minister before and had very hot temper, and nobody could stand him. So Bali came back and took care of him for the last few months before he passed away. And the father was very touched by that. So he wrote him back into the will and gave him a few cashew factories and a few other things. So he appreciated. So what happens in the last stretch, that's really what, like in any race, in any sports, it's like, it's not so much what happened in the beginning, but it's more like, okay, how was the finish? How did things actually pan out at the end?
Excellent anecdotes and very helpful, much to the point. She also reminded me that the first thrust of Shukadeva Goswami, as we mentioned earlier, was to run away from home completely. Yam pravajantam anupetam apetya krityam. He just left. He came back because his father had, according to the, what is that scripture? Brahmavaivarta Purana. He had gone out, his father Vyasadeva had sent disciples out into the woods where Shukadeva was spending his time, and they were reciting verses from the Bhagavatam. Aho bhakiyam stanakala kutam jighamsaya payadapyasadvi lebegatim dat ruchitam tatonyam kambadayalum sharanam vrajema. And he heard those verses, and then he came back. He came back to his father to learn Bhagavatam. So, sometimes that thrust is there, necessary to get out of the atmosphere, and then when one has particular perspective, and you can come back to whatever it was, whatever's favorable for advancing in devotional service. Okay, there was a couple more, but we want to save a little time for anything? Yes.
Thank you so much for this blissful moment.
Is everyone okay? You need to stand up for 1 minute. Stand up. Stand up, take a 3-minute break. We'll come right back and finish the program with a bang. So don't go away. Well, you said it yesterday. Any questions? What? Amara Jivana, can you line it up? And also, where's Prikishori? Went to cook. Okay, we'll do it after a couple more questions, but we have to do our Amara Jivana. Okay, welcome back. All right. Are we pulling you away from some engagement? Okay.
Thank you so much for
Is everyone okay? Can you make a PowerPoint?
So this is a wonderful, blissful morning of spiritual enthusiasm. So my question is on the follow-up of Mother Hansapriya's
Pull that down below, there.
My question is a follow-up of Mother Hansapriya's question.
Yes?
So when we see the literatures of Goswami's Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, and then Ujjwala Nilamani and others, we see that sadhana bhakti is very less portion and everything is into rag and spontaneous loving devotion and explanations of that.
I can't concentrate if you're talking. So I know it's probably important, but just go ahead, start over.
So when we see the literatures of Goswami starting from Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, and other literatures, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava, and others, very less portion is dedicated to sadhana bhakti, like maybe Vacho Vegam and few other verses. And then everything is into rag and spontaneous.
Well, if you're talking about the Upadeshamrita, how that's the last few verses are dedicated to rag. Everything else up to that is Vacho Vegam, Manasakro Vegam. Then it goes into more sadhana, bhakti, vaidhi, which means the next verse is about what don't do, next verse is about what to do, then the next verse is about how to associate with devotees, next verse is how to view the devotees, next verse is really about chanting as medicine, still devotional service and practice, no rag there. Then you get into the process through which you can actually come to rag bhakti, but you're getting near the end of the book, and then it starts talking about the gradations of places that are important and so forth. Anyway, you're making a point. Go ahead.
So
I just wanted to adjust the premise, because it's not true that the Upadeshamrita is all about rag and very little idea of vaidhi.
So it looks like, it seems that a devotee quickly crosses over the sadhana bhakti. Is it like that? Because of that, is that the majority of Goswami's literatures are concentrating on spontaneous devotion? Well,
first of all, we disputed that. It's not that there are various acharyas address various aspects of devotional service. Let's look at it from the point of view of sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. So we have some of our acharyas that specifically dedicate their teachings to sambandha gyan, which means what is our relationship with Krishna. For instance, the seminal book on bhakti yoga called the Srimad Bhagavatam is decidedly about sambandha gyan. What is our relationship with Krishna? And how to achieve that relationship? Through the mantra, accepting initiation, sticking to the mantra, and so forth. In fact, he goes out of his way in the second part of the Srimad Bhagavatam to show what are the perils of not taking guidance, of not having a guru, because he just gets a mantra in a dream and starts chanting it, and he has to go all over the universe because he doesn't have a guru till later. And the guru he gets, who actually turns out to be Krishna himself, faints when he tries to, out of ecstasy, when he tries to give many instructions, so he doesn't have that. And then you get a lot of books on abhideya, that, like the Nectar of Devotion. Nectar Devotion is really about how to practice the rules and regulations of devotional service. Of course, it's divided in different sections, but it always begins to the teachings of Rupa Goswami with this idea of start here and then you'll progress naturally. And then you get Ujjwala Nilamani and other books that talk about prayojana, Raghunath Das Goswami and so forth. They give explanation of what it looks like when you're engaged in that kind of devotional service that is spontaneous. Nonetheless, as Jiva Goswami points out, even in the rag, or the practice of spontaneous devotional service, is practiced even in the beginning stages. So what we're doing, we are following the rag marg. It's not that we're into Vaidhi Bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach two things. One is Ragatmika Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. That is following the Ragatmikas, those who are eternally liberated and performing spontaneous devotional service. That is the residents of Vrindavan. That's who we're following. And even before we have spontaneous attraction or taste for following those particular residents of Vrindavan, we're still following them. So it's still rag marg. It's called Ajata Ruchi Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So Ajata means it's not manifest yet. What isn't? Ruchi, or taste for it. Nonetheless, we're still following it. Look at the prayers we sing to Tulsi Devi and tell me that's not the rag marg. In fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta didn't let his disciples sing that song. It's too esoteric. They sang another Tulsi song. This goes, Chatrisha Vyanjana. What is it? Chapana Bhoga Chatrisha Vyanjana. Tulsi Maharani Vrinde Maharani Namo Namo. So that's another song that refers more to the Tulsi, the plant, and so forth. We're singing to the where she's kind of like a forest goddess, nymph, who's arranging the pastimes of Krishna and his spontaneous devotees. And we're praying to her, please give me adhikari for spontaneous devotional service. All our practices are like that. There's no Vaidhi there. It's Ajata Ruchi Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Because all what we're following here, we're singing Jaya Radha Madhava. What is that? It's a description of all the Ragatmika devotees in Vrindavan. That's who we're following. All our rules and regulations come from the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the Bhagavat Marg, the spontaneous path of devotional service. Chanting Hare Krishna, Bhagavat Marg, spontaneous. We even teach that. We don't go on Harinam and sing about the four regulative principles. It's not like we're out there, it's like, don't eat meat, don't eat meat. We don't care about that so much. That comes later as a support to the Raganuga Bhakti that we're practicing. And as you begin this path, Prabhupada gives simple examples. He says, when you learn to type, you use the typing book, and you follow it. You put one finger after another on the keys, and you have to be very precise. Later on, you just type. You don't even think about it. No book needed. Because your fingers just do what they already know. They're there. It's spontaneous. So same way, in the beginning, there may be some guidance. We have to be careful because it's easy to be dissuaded in the beginning by our wanton desires and senses to go off the path. But all the activities that we do are meant to keep us in contact with the stimuli that awaken pure love for Krishna. It's the proximity that matters. And as we chant Hare Krishna, as we worship the deity, all these kinds of things are udipana. They're stimuli for awakening that original pure love for Krishna. Nitya siddha Krishna prema sadhya kavunoy shravanadi shuddha chitte karudoy. It's already there. The potential's already there. We're just awakening it through the path. Make no mistake about it. In ISKCON, we are following the rag marg. We are performing Raganuga Bhakti. Make no mistake.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
opening my eyes.
Okay, any other questions? 1, 2, and then we'll sing a bhajan.
I wanted to hear from you why we perform austerities. I mean,
because it feels so good. I mean, there's nothing so nice as performing austerities. Getting fat and lazy, it hurts like anything. But tightening things up in one's life, you start to, you get a spring in your step, like, wow. Because, we're souls. We're just residing within this clunky material body for right now. And even the mind, it's so subtle. But for us, we're way more subtle than that. We're a different category of energy. And we don't like it. It's not nice. So that's why people aren't happy. They got the wrong information, which is basically starting, you are your body, try to be happy, try to be comfortable. And that just doesn't work. And the more money people get, the bigger the house they get, and it's like, why aren't they happy? Because you're not your body. You're a soul. You don't belong in this place. It's not even yours. So why wouldn't you be suffering? But when you perform austerities, then you start to come to this subtle level. Ever had this experience? You fast, and then you never want to eat again? I get this all the time. I fast and just forget it, It's too much trouble. That's us. That's the soul. This whole thing is like, I gotta eat. It's a real pain, And when you realize your subtle nature, it's like, just don't eat. I don't care anymore. And then you're kind of like, I got a whole list of possibilities now. It's on a higher level. That's us. And when you perform correct austerities, that means those things in relationship with increasing your devotional service to Krishna. That's sweet. And you'll find the kind of devotional power and enthusiasm through austerities. That's the wealth of the advanced people in the world, of the brahmanas. You perform austerities. Jagnarta karmano nyata loko yam karma bandhana tarartam karma kontiya mukta sangha samachara. Krishna says right in the Gita, you want happiness, you want wealth, you want abundance, perform austerity. You'll be happy, you'll have everything you need. It's built into this wheel of sacrifice in the material world. Perform austerities, you get what you want. Otherwise, you just toil in the material world. We have one more question.
Guru Maharaj,
Okay. Following up on fasting. Yes.
It basically, Hare Krishna, yeah. It's follow up on your fasting. It basically changes not only everything at the cellular level in your body, like it causes autophagy and everything like that, but also in the spiritual things also it changes, because sometimes when you extend your Ekadashi fast to a 3-day fast or a 5-day fast, more like you feel like you're more close to Krishna. That's what I feel like.
I see. Well, I'm not recommending that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
No, but I'm saying too, what I said very precisely, our austerities are specifically, anything that pleases Krishna. Just like, I gave this example the other day. Let's just say a young boy is attracted to a young girl. Then what does he do? He figures out what's her schedule, what does she like, and he just tries and rearranges everything. And that's our austerity. We just anything we're doing, we rearrange our life so that it'll catch Krishna's attention. So he likes that. That's what I'm going to do. And the only reason we follow Ekadashi is really because Lord Chaitanya told his mother, follow Ekadashi. And if you ask anybody, what's Ekadashi? I have no idea. It's some day, it's Hari Vasara, it's the day of Hari. It was like, tell me more about it. Very few people on the planet. I've heard a few people, have done research. They can give you some eloquent answer. But the real answer for most people is, Lord Chaitanya likes it. So I'll just fast on Ekadashi. If he likes it, I'm happy. That's austerity. You do stuff that Krishna likes. We don't add extra stuff on as no add-ons necessary. We got enough in our life. Okay. There's enough holy days in the calendar if you want to fast on all of those days. Okay, what was the last one?
You were talking about the typewriter and how we needed a format, and then we get better and we let go of the format. But the same logic is applied when you go to Mayavad or other philosophies, explaining that the form of Krishna that we worship is that format, because our mind cannot register the absolute beauty of the abstract form. So if we can just have some form to meditate on, and then once we advance, then we let go of the crutches of the form and accept the supreme.
That idea is inherently rotten. It doesn't appeal to those who are alive and who love and who have gratitude. It actually stinks. Because basically what you're saying is it's all utilitarian. There's no God to have gratitude for, and I'm God ultimately. It's very envious. And that's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Klesho dikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukam dehavadbir avapyate. He says this philosophy really actually messes you up, messes up your mind. And anybody who has that, if you hang out with them, you'll see that they're very conflicted. They're not happy. They don't have compassion or gratitude towards others. Only Nityananda can save them. And we've seen it before. We were at Dhameshwara Mahaprabhu having our kirtans in total ecstasy, chanting Hare Krishna. And there was a group of Mayavadis standing in the back. They couldn't chant. They were pretty fascinated with seeing all these people chanting, but they couldn't chant. And then we started, Doyo Nitai Chaitanya Bola, and they went nuts. And they're like, Haribo! And you can see Lord Nityananda can deliver somebody like that who's envious of God. They want to be God, and they say, yeah, he's just there temporarily, and then all become him, and then we're nothing, and then, what kind of philosophy is that? It doesn't even make any sense.
I was asking because I wanted to know what to say to them. But what you're saying is just turn around and...
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. In anyone you're talking to, you have to, first of all, see if they're actually interested in coming to some conclusion. If not, then the Shastra says don't spend time. Don't waste your time. If they are interested in coming to some conclusion, you have to establish a premise. For instance, somebody says, prove there's God. You say, okay, accepting the person's sincere, please tell me what proof looks like to you. And then I'll try to come up with some. Because if you just say, I'll try to prove it to you, and you have no idea what they'll accept as proof, then you're going to be spinning your wheels for a long time, and it's going to be an onerous process. Onerous. Now, we'll sing the song that solves all problems from the Sharanagati, and let's read the translation together so we get an idea of why we're singing this. This is an expression of extreme humility, and if one keeps this sense of humility in one's life and practices devotional service, he or she will make advancement very quickly. My life is always engaged in sinful activities without a trace of pious activities. I am always inclined to give great anxiety and trouble to other living entities. For my personal sense gratification, I never reject any kind of sinful activity. I'm not at all merciful, and I see only to my personal interest. When others are suffering, I become very happy. I am always speaking lies, and if someone is suffering, that is very pleasant to me. I have lots of material desires within my heart, and I'm always angry and deceitful. I'm captivated by subject matters of sense gratification, and I'm almost crazy. My ornaments are malice and false pride. I am conquered by sleep and laziness, and I am always averse to pious activities. But I am very enthusiastic to perform impious activities. I always cheat others for my prestige. I am conquered by greed, and I am always lusty. I am so fallen, I have no association with devotees, and I am always an offender. In my life there is not a bit of auspicious activity, and my mind is always attracted by something mischievous. Therefore, at the fag end of my life, I have become almost an invalid because of all such sufferings. Now in my old age, with no alternative, I have by force become very humble and meek. This Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of his life's activities at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord.
Amar jivan zada pape rahta nahi ko punye ralesha. Amar jivan sada pape rata nahi ko punye ralesha.
sada pape nahi to punyera
Bare udveg diyach je ko to Bare
udveg diyach je ko to
Bare udveg diyach je ko to
Bare udveg diyach je ko to
Diyach jive raklesha
Yache jivere klesha
Diyach jive raklesha
Yache jive Change
Nija sukha lagi pape nahi dhori
lagi pape nahi dhori
Daya hina swataparo
Daya hina swataparo
Par sukhe dukhi sada mityabhasi
Sukhe dukhi sada mityabhasi
Par sukhe dukhi sada mityabhasi
Sukhe dukhi sada mityabhasi
Par dukha sukha karo Para dukha sukha karo Ashesha kamana hridi maje mora Ashesha kamana hridi maje mora Krodhi dambha parayana Madamata sada vishaye mohita Madamata sada vishaye mohita Himsa garbha vibhushana Himsa garbha vibhushana Nidralasya hata sukarya virata Nidralasya hata sukarya virata Hakari udyogi ami Hakari udyogi ami Prathishta lagi ashathya charana Prathishta lagi ashathya charana Lobahata sada kami Lobahata sada kami Ehe no durjana sajana varjita Ehe no durjana sajana Nirantara Shubha Karya Shunya Sadhanartha Mana Shubha Karya Shunya Sadhanartha Mana Nana Dukhe Jara Jara Nana Dukhe Jara Jara Bardha ke kona upaya vihina Bardha ke kona upaya vihina Tat dina kinchana Tat dina kinchana Bhakati vinoda prabhuracharane Bhakati vinoda prabhuracharane Bhakati vinoda prabhuracharane Gore dukha nivedana Gore dukha nivedana Amar जीवन सदा पपेरता नाही को पुण्य रलेशा पारिरे उद्वेगति अछि जे कोतो पारिरे उद्वेगति अछि जे कोतो दियाछि जीवेर क्लेश दियाछि जीवेर क्लेश जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर निताय नामिनेचे नामिर्हाते शरमुया नाम दीतेचे
Nitai. Nitai. Nityanando.
Nitai naminece namirhate shadamuya nam diteche
Nitai.
Nitai naminece namirhate shadamuya nam diteche
Nitai. Namirhate Shadamuya Nam Dite. One more time.
Nitai naminece namirhate shadamuya nam diteche
Nitai. Neche. One more.
Nitai naminece Namirhate Shadamuyanam Diteche
Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Tai Gaur Haribo.
Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo.
Tai Gaur Premanande. So like a small red-beaked bird, we've tried to take one little drop out of the ocean of unlimited nectar of Harikatha and just enough to wet our beak. So we take this and you keep the bhajan going. You have to get your bhajan going at home. It has to be strong. And get a good, strong bhajan at home means you have to chant really good rounds. Put your heart and soul into it. Do whatever you have to do to make it work. Impress Krishna with your determination. And also go deeply within these books. Memorize the Sanskrit. And read all the books. And try to live a clean life. Free from any kind of nasty encumbrances that just are meant for crows. Live the life of the Paramahamsas, follow in their footsteps. And then use all your enthusiasm and energy to try to figure out how to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. The world's in turmoil and people are suffering and they don't even know why. They think it's because they're not identifying with their bodies hard enough. So they're trying to turn that direction. And so they need this Bhagavad Gita. That's a fact. So do these things, Lord Chaitanya says, and your life will be perfect and sublime. And we have perfect representative, Srila Prabhupada, who's taught us how to do these things. He put it all in one package so that we could do it. He was empowered to make that lens so everyone could see the process and just follow it. You're on the path of Raganuga. The spontaneous love for Krishna will come from following what we've got. It's all there. But follow it really with your heart and mind. And get your bhajan on. And also remember to make japa great again. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadrubhascha kripasanabhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakoti vaishnavini ki jai. Now we have a Guru Puja. And just after that there's prasadam. So all is not lost. You can stay and be happy.